The illustrious Mike Stagg is here today to talk to us about line of fire accidents and the potential that we have with that and with what we've seen. These are really serious, significant accidents, and they're ones that make me cringe a little bit. Mike, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, today we're talking about, just like you said, these are some serious accidents. And it's so serious that OSHA has come up and said that this is one of their what they call their focus hazards. Okay. This is really pertaining to construction, but you'll see some data here in just a second that tells you that it pertains to us as local government as well. Um, Now, the focus four hazards that OSHA has, what they call the fatal four: falls, electrocution, struck by, caught in, or between. Okay. And we're going to talk about the struck by, the hit by, the caught in, or in between parts of the focus four that OSHA has. That's what staying out of the line of fire means, is you keep your body out of the way of these silly little accidents, because these silly little accidents, they turn into fatalities. It's the second most common cause of death, that's only surpassed by falls. Okay. It's important. It's an important thing. Now, here at the Trust, here's our data. Here at the Trust, for the last few years, that injury type, struck by, caught in between, what we're talking about today, that's our third most common cause of workplace injury. Okay. Strains and slips and falls are leading the way, but dang, it's number three. And it's number three by a large margin over cuts and punctures and others. Okay. It's a big thing for us here at the Trust. So let's talk about what it means. A struck by or hit by injury is when forcible contact is made between the injured person and an object or piece of equipment. Okay. Think of that as like getting hit by a car. Okay. That's forcible contact between the injured person and an object or a piece of equipment. Getting hit by a board, getting, hitting your finger with a hammer. Okay. Struck or hit by. Okay. Caught in between. What does that mean? Caught in between is an injury that results from a person being squeezed, caught, crushed, pinched, or compressed between two or more objects, or between parts of an object. Okay. So think about your foot getting run over by a car. Okay. It's squished between the tire and the road. Or think about a door, a car door, your hand getting caught in between a door closing and the frame of the car. Okay, that's a caught in between hazard. Struck by. Okay, these are struck by objects that are in motion: flying objects, falling objects, rotating objects, swinging objects, rolling objects. Okay, something is in motion and then it hits your body. Okay, a tool falls from the bench and hits your foot. Okay, that's a struck by type of hazard or injury. Okay, something is rotating, a rotating part. Okay, a spindle on a drill press is rotating and catches your shirt sleeve and pulls you in and injures you. Okay, struck by objects in motion. Caught in between. These are, falling materials, moving vehicles and equipment, machinery. What we talk about really with machinery here is those ingoing nip points, okay, where gears meet together, like you see here in the photo, okay, where things meet together and two objects are in motion, and you get caught in between those two objects that are in motion. That's what we're talking about here, okay? So caught in between objects in motion. And we've seen many of these claims here at the Trust. I wanted to take you through some of the files and let you know of some of these claims that we've seen, because dang, they're avoidable. Okay. Our number one caught in between claims has to do with tailgates, guys. Tailgates on your trucks. We have seen so many silly injuries involving tailgates. Okay. While working on a tailgate for a dump truck, the tailgate locking mechanism closed on that person's hand. There's one. Here's another one. The thumb was caught between the tailgate limiting chain and the tailgate, causing a serious pinching injury that could have amputated that person's thumb. Another one. The employee slammed the tailgate on their left index finger. Ouch. Okay. So what do we do to get rid of these? Get rid of tailgates, right? No, that's not what we do. We don't get rid of the tailgates. We need those things. But we got to be aware. We have to be aware that these things cause injury. Okay. Forklifts are another one. The injured employee was adjusting the forklifts, the actual forks on the lift. Those forks came loose and the tip hit the ground, and then the main part hit that person's shin. Okay. That's a caught in between claim. Employees shut their finger in the car door while they were going back to get their phone. They forgot their phone in the car, went to go get it, grab their phone, shut the door in their hand. Okay. Broken flooring is another caught in between that we've seen. Somebody was walking on the wood deck outside of their office, and their foot fell through the wood deck and broke, and they had a broken leg because of that. Okay. That's a caught in between. Okay, training. We've seen a lot of training accidents that involve caught in between. A lot of us have gyms, weight machines, equipment, exercise rooms that we're able to use, whether it's on break or during lunch or before or after work. We have a rec center, or we have a room in our office buildings that allow us to go and work out. It's a great thing. It's a great thing for our organizations to give those to us. But dang, we've seen a lot of injuries. Someone was hit by a medicine ball in the face, right? They're bouncing the medicine ball off the wall, bounce it into themselves, and they missed, and it smacks them in the face. Okay. Another one, they were pinched. A lot of that we've seen is pinching injuries. People re-racking their weights, and they pinch their hands in between the plates as they're re-racking those plates. Okay. What about struck by claims? Okay. Some of them were pipe. An employee was in a trench box. When a pipe was lifted up to them, the pipe slipped off the lifting strap and it hit that person in the mouth. Okay. Struck by that pipe. Another one is these angry trees. Okay. This is the most dangerous tree I could find. But dang, these trees, they're a problem. Okay. A worker was doing lawn maintenance when a tree branch fell, hitting the worker. Another one, a worker was walking along and they were trimming the grass around the tree, lifted their head up and whacked their head on the tree. Okay. Another one, an arborist was up in the tree doing some tree cutting, and there was a person below them who was the supervisor, and they got hit by the falling branch as they're standing underneath the fallen load. Okay. Defensive tactics training. We see a lot of this, a lot of these kind of struck by injuries inside of our police agencies. Okay, they're doing training, and they're training because they got to train to take down the bad guys, right? Or the bad guys come and they got to fight, whatever they're going to do. They have a combative subject who is barricaded themselves in their vehicle, won't get out of the car. They've got to work on tactics to get that person out of the vehicle. But we see too many injuries in this area because people are going 100 miles an hour rather than going, 30-40% just to get the range of motion down, just to get the muscle memory in. Okay, they're trying to prove themselves or going too far, and they get hurt or they get punched by somebody or they get twisted like they shouldn't. Okay, lots of these silly little struck by claims that could be avoided. We had an incident with a ball valve. Someone was replacing a ball valve and the wrench slipped and it smashed the person's thumb. Okay, replacing manhole covers. People are working down in the manholes, and they take the cover off, do their work down there, come back up, replacing that manhole back on the street, and they get their fingers caught in between the manhole cover and the frame. Okay, handling objects like grates, fence panels, garbage carts, those kind of things, being struck by. Okay, we had an individual who was unloading fence panels from a trailer. They grabbed those fence panels, they turned, whacked their coworker right in the face. Okay, those are some of those struck by injuries. What do we have to do? Is we've got to be aware of things around me that might be in motion. Okay, now let's talk about a few of those. Okay, things in motion like equipment, forklifts, backhoes, large trucks, and trailers. Things that are moving around us, that are working around us. We've got to be aware of where those things are and where we are in relation to those. We've got to think about swing radius. And where is the swing radius of this excavator? Okay. You might have excavator workers in your organization. They might be great backhoe workers. You might think they're the best, and you might trust them with your life. Well, Jason says, don't ever do that, right? Because you just never know what's going to happen. You never know when a hydraulic hose is going to break or something is going to go wrong, and they're not going to see you. Okay, so stay aware of these things. Be aware of swing radius. Okay, and this doesn't just mean in a piece of equipment. Okay, think about that worker that I was telling you about where we had the injury with the fence panels. They get in, they grab the fence panels, and they stand up, and then all of a sudden their swing radius increases dramatically. Well, that person, they weren't aware that the other person, that the coworker was behind them, so they swung with an increased swing radius and whacked their coworker. Same thing, the coworker who got whacked in the head. You should be aware, hey, this person's swing radius is now increasing. Maybe I should step a few paces back, give them some room so they can get out of this situation so I don't get hit in the face. Okay? Be aware of those things that are in motion around you. Other things that might be in motion, traffic and vehicles. Okay? A lot of us, we work in streets, and we know that as soon as we put the cones up or the barricades or the slow signs up, people slow down and they obey those things, right? Every single time. No, they don't. We've got to be aware of those things that are around us. Be aware of the traffic and the vehicles. We might be wearing our personal protective equipment and making ourselves visible, but we still got to be aware of those things that are happening around us because other people aren't. Overhead work. Don't ever stand underneath a suspended load, right? Gravity is always going to win. Things are always going to fall down. Okay? Suspended loads, we saw that with the pipe, right? They were lowering the pipe into the trench box, chain broke, or the pipe slipped on the lift mechanism, and it smacked the person in the face. Okay? Gravity is always going to win. Don't stand underneath the falling loads. Okay? Realize if there's overhead work going on, don't walk underneath it. If you've got stuff suspended overhead, don't walk underneath it. Okay? Just these simple things that is going to help us to avoid being struck by something that's falling. Unbalanced loads and poorly stacked materials. You walk into your warehouse and you need to grab, there's boxes stacked up on the shelves there. And you're walking by and you accidentally hit that shelf. And that shelf then starts to wobble and those boxes on top fall down and they whack you on the head. Okay? Be aware of unbalanced loads and poorly stacked materials so we can avoid, again, the silly struck by injuries that were going to happen. You have to be aware of people working nearby. You as the person, you have to be aware of your coworkers around you. I'm the person who's taking those fence panels out of the truck. I have to be aware of not only me and my place in space, but be aware of my coworkers behind me. The coworker behind me, I'm that coworker now. I have to not only be aware of where I am in space, but what's going on with the other people who are working nearby. Okay? That person is going to grab those fence panels. I've got to realize his swing radius is going to increase, right? Step back a bit. Give him some space. Power tools and machine handling. Those are things we have to watch out for. A lot of us, when we grab those power tools, right? You got to make sure that they have the guards on them. Make sure that those things are guarded like they should be. Other things that we have to be aware of, stored energy. Okay, that kinetic or potential energy that some of our things have. Things like compressed air, hydraulics, and pressurized systems. A lot of us right now, it's that time of year where we're turning on the secondary water for our organizations. Okay, there could be pressure built up in those lines. Or it's been turned on and now we're the irrigation crew. We have to go out and make sure all the sprinkler heads are still working. Be aware that when we turn it on, there's pressure there. Okay? We don't want to be struck by a flying irrigation valve. Okay? Or the flying sprinkler part that's coming out. Okay? We've got to be aware of these things that are in motion around us. Even though they're not currently in motion, they could be. Okay? Those things that are stored energy that could have something in them, stuff we can't see. Okay, we've got to realize that those things are going to be in motion very quickly. Flying debris and material. Okay, got to be aware of the sparks, the materials that coming off when we grind and when we cut. Okay, pressure washing. Got to be aware of pressure washing. A lot of us are doing that. Pressure washing the driveways or the walkways in front of the buildings. Pressure washing our trucks after we drive in the mud. You know, whatever it may be. There's flakes, there's stuff flying off of there. Got to make sure we're wearing our personal protective equipment and being aware of those things that are happening and flying all around us. Okay. This is where now we get into other things like unguarded machinery and rotating parts and covers missing. Think about the bench grinder. We've all got the bench grinders there in our workshops. What's the first thing you do with that bench grinder? Yeah, you take that little plastic guard and you move it out of the way so you can see what you're doing. Okay? Gotta have that guard in place. That's what the guards are there for. Same thing. We do the same thing with the angle grinder, right? Take that guard off. The drill press. That spindle, that spindle that spins around, okay, there's a guard for that. Gotta have a guard on that. Those rotating parts, those the covers that are missing, those are all things that are rotating and moving and could cause a cut in between, could cause a struck by, could cause some of these silly little injuries. Okay. What about parking lots? What about vehicles? Okay. Realize that when we back our vehicles up into a park, if we don't back our vehicle into a parking spot, okay, there's lots of stuff in motion when we back our vehicle now out of that parking spot. It's one of the reasons why we encourage you to back in your vehicles upon arrival, because then you're backing in to a controlled environment where there's things not moving, or choose a pull-through spot. Don't give yourself an opportunity to back into an area where you could be struck by something. Okay? Look out where your access points are, where your walkways are, so you can be aware of where cars are parked, where things are moving and backing up and moving around that could potentially cause these silly little injuries. Now, how do we prevent more? Okay. I think it all comes down to this. I think it all comes down to situational awareness and being aware of where you are in space. Okay. Ask yourself these questions to help yourself recognize where some of these caught by, struck by, caught in between, these silly little things where we are in the line of fire. This is where we talked about the line of fire, right? Things coming in and hitting us and being in harm's way. Is there anything moving around me? What is moving? What's in motion? Who is nearby me? Who's by me? Is a coworker behind me? Do I have the crew around me? Am I by myself? Okay, what are they doing? What are these people doing? Are they moving materials? Is the machinery moving around? Think in these situations, what could get me? What here could hurt me? What here could hurt a coworker? Okay, think about those and be able to recognize where we have opportunities to be injured by. And that's what they are. They're opportunities to be injured, right? They all have potential for injury. We've got to recognize the potential for that injury. These asking ourselves these questions is definitely going to help with our situational awareness. Let's give ourselves some space in these situations so we stay out of the line of fire. Where do we want to stand so we stay out of the swing radius? Where do we want to walk so that we don't get caught in between a truck backing up and the wall? Okay? Don't put ourselves in harm's way. What we have to do here is we have to make sure we've got a little bit of common sense. Hey, that's a big piece of machinery. I probably don't want to stand by that. Hey, there's a load up there that's suspended. I probably don't want to walk underneath that because gravity's always going to win. Okay, there's people up there working on that roof. I probably shouldn't walk underneath there because if they drop a tool, it's coming down on me. Common sense. Use the common sense. Things are bigger than you, that there's gravity. Those things are things that can hurt us. Now, don't always assume that the other person is going to see you. Don't always assume that the coworker sees you or the person driving the back or operating the backhoe is going to see you. Don't assume that the person backing their truck out in the parking lot is going to see you. Okay? Make sure you stay visible. Make sure you confirm that they can see you. Hey, wait just a second. That phrase and communicating with somebody. Hey, wait just a second. Helps you be seen. Okay? It'll help you be seen. Don't assume that that person is going to see me. Don't assume that when that person's doing that, working on that bench grinder, they know that I'm working right next to them and there's sparks flying and they don't have the guard down to protect themselves and protect me. So don't assume those things. Always assume that they can't see you. Always assume that load is going to fall. And when we do that, we can anticipate those opportunities that are going to hurt us. We can anticipate those things and not get hurt by those silly little objects. Okay. Personal protective equipment is a very important thing when we talk about avoiding these caught by, struck by, or caught in between type of hazards. Now, these things that we talked about before, okay, those are things that are going to absolutely prevent those hazards from happening. But sometimes we have to be in situations where we know that there's still going to be a potential for us to get hurt. The opportunity is still there. Okay. That's where we've got to wear our personal protective equipment. High visibility vests, making ourselves visible, remember. Okay. The safety glasses, the hard hat, the face shield, wearing your PPE and protecting our parts so that we can make sure that even though we're still putting ourselves in harm's way, there's still the sparks flying from that person using the bench grinder. We still got to wear our face shields to make sure that we stay safe. The guards are there, everything's in place. Still got to wear the PPE to make sure that we are staying safe. Recognize and pay attention. Just recognize where those hazards are. Again, got to have common sense and have that constant awareness. What is around me? What could hurt me? What could get me? If I step out of line, if there's something here that falls, what is going to put me in harm's way? Don't put yourself in harm's way or in the line of fire. Be situationally aware of where you are in space and how things interact around you and where swing radiuses are and things like that so we can then just keep ourselves safe. Okay. Jason, how are we doing? Any questions out there?
Mike, great presentation. Folks, if you've got questions or comments, please type those in the chat box right now. We have absolutely zero in the chat box right
There we
now
go.
for questions. So you've totally killed the subject there. Awesome job on talking about a really important subject. One, I just say it makes me cringe. I read some of the claims that come in and it's like, oh, ow, oh.
Yeah.
Mike will hear me across the trust. Or there's a big opening between Mike's office and myself, and I hear and you'll hear me. "Ow." And there's a few times when we'll send the claim description back and forth on a text and just say, "Oh, that's gotta hurt."
We can hear
Um,
each other. Yep.
for sure. Well, Mike, I don't see any. I don't see any questions there or comments. So, do you want to give us the final word?
Yeah, you know what? I think it's this is give us a great opportunity to go out and really make sure that we are staying safe. So what I give you today is a challenge, actually. A challenge to go out and seek out these caught in between or struck by type of opportunities out there where you're working today. And maybe if you see a coworker, these are great chances to help coworkers out. Hey, do you realize what's right there where you could get hurt by? Do you see that up there that could catch you or you could get struck by? Point those out to somebody today. Point it out and make people more aware of things that are going on. Okay? This is one of those subjects that we can really take and share with the folks around us on a daily basis. I challenge you to do that today. Challenge you to take this and eliminate these caught in between or struck by hazards, increase everybody's awareness around those things.
Awesome, Mike. That's how we make it happen. Training's great, but it only happens if you take what Mike said today and do something about it. So
Yep.
awesome. Thank you, Mike, for that challenge. As the guy's walking past my office window with the leaf blower, I gotta check him. I couldn't look and check and make sure he had his PPE on. But those are the things that we've got to do if we're gonna make this happen. Mike, thanks so much. Good job.
Thanks, everyone.
Go out and have a safe day.